Today, we're going to talk about alcohol. Some interesting things are going on in the world that you might not know about. 41% of Americans say they're planning to drink less alcohol, which is a 7% increase in 1 year of people saying, I don't want to drink as much. And 61% of Gen Z say that they're reducing that, up from 40%. So we're seeing a massive societal change where people are saying alcohol just isn't worth it. And it's not like they're just sitting around drinking water. They're doing something else. And we're going to talk about things you can do instead of alcohol that are still fun, that still give you the benefits of alcohol. And what are the benefits? Well, fun. Social lubrication. The problem is if they come with a huge health impact, which alcohol has. And since the very beginning of biohacking, I've been saying all you have to do is track your sleep and look at what one drink does to you. And you realize alcohol is a bad idea if you want to live a very long time like I do, or if you want to have a highly functioning brain like I do. So what's in the middle? Our guest today is my friend Cameron George, who runs a company called Tru Kava. I've been an advisor and investor in Tru Kava since just about the very early days of the company, right?
Pretty early. Yeah, we were a couple. I mean, I spent 7 years developing the framework of the company and the supply chain in the South Pacific. But once we launched, it was probably like 2 years after, maybe. It was early on. Yeah.
And you guys are now in Sprouts?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so the company is going well. And if you've never heard of Kava, Kava is a really interesting compound. Tell me about Kava.
Kava is a stress-relieving social tonic. In fact, it's nature's original stress-relieving social tonic that builds mental health instead of detracts from it. It means that it's a whole food substance that's been prepared from the roots of this shrub-like plant that grows in Polynesia.
Okay.
So island chains like Fiji and Vanuatu, which is like right off the coast of Fiji. And it's really on these island chains like all through the South Pacific. And it's been used there for over 3,000 years by like 90% of the culture in Vanuatu for everything from weddings, funerals, spiritual ceremonies, social gatherings, basically any context where people come together, connect, relax, want to elevate their emotional state and kind of get into a better centered frame of mind to experience something at a higher level.
Is Kava a drug?
No. I would say that it's a psychoactive plant compound that's in a category of its own. So it's not really classified as an adaptogen like a ginseng or a reishi mushroom. Even though it has adaptogenic characteristics, it does increase a person's adaptation potential over time. But typically an adaptogen is more like a nutritive substance exclusively that doesn't have a powerful, tangible psychoactive effect like in the short term. You take it over time and you kind of notice a subtle sort of more energy and things balancing out. Kava has that component, but it also has the drug-like component of like an acute effect that you would get off an alcohol, but without depleting the receptors that it hits, or also without causing any level of toxicity or inebriation. So it doesn't have any of the side effects, and it doesn't set up a habituation by artificially stimulating the receptors to dump tomorrow's stores to pay for today's.
I just had my 29% birthday, and I served Tru Kava at my party. In fact, all the stuff that I go to, my girlfriend Christina at her Wee Deep In Emergent, you were kind enough to provide Kava shots for everybody. And it's kind of cool because alcohol makes you more relaxed, but it also makes you a little bit dumb. And we've all seen videos of people, falling over from it. You're not going to get that from Tru Kava, but you do feel more conversational, more relaxed. What's it doing to neurotransmitters?
Kava binds to a specific set of receptors called the GABA A receptors in the brain. And GABA, kind of think of it like the primary brakes of your nervous system, right? It's the thing that anytime you take something that affects GABA, it's going to make you feel calm, it's going to make you feel grounded, it's going to make you feel comfortable and safe. It really opposes the sympathetic nervous system.
Okay.
So the sympathetic, like fight or flight, like brings you into rest and digest. That's its main mechanism. But it's really interesting because it doesn't have just one linear mechanism like a pharmaceutical would, like say a benzodiazepine, like Xanax, that only hits those receptors. So it just brings you down, down, down. Kava also unilaterally hits on 4 of the major other key neurotransmission systems, but not quite as powerfully as the GABA system, but it also has effects on dopamine, for example.
Okay.
Similar to alcohol, but without depleting it or without creating toxicity and a side effect to it. So it affects dopamine without depleting it and setting up the need to further stimulate it more and creating that kind of addiction, dependency, withdrawal type cycle that you see.
Okay, so you're not feeling tired, at least for me. Back when I drank regularly when I was in my early 20s, I would go out and I'd have a few drinks and I'd get really tired. And this is probably because I wasn't very healthy. But I would just say, I'll just drink 3 shots of espresso and then I'll have 3 drinks and then I feel pretty good. So I wanted the upper and the alcohol effect. Look, if you're in your 20s, this is the dumbest thing you could ever do. Your brain doesn't need the alcohol then. This is when we typically drink the most. And then it causes cognitive issues. Sometimes even just getting drunk one time can change your brain for long periods of time. I was doing that because I would get so tired. I don't get tired when I drink Tru Kava. Why does Kava not make you tired the way alcohol can?
Because it's the way that it affects the receptors. It's very interesting because there's a lot of great literature on this, and the mechanisms are actually pretty well understood. So it doesn't just plug into the GABA receptor, for example, and just stimulate the dumping of the available stores of GABA, and you just get this really, really big dump. It has more of a modulatory effect on the GABA system and the dopamine system and the serotonin system and the cholinergic system. So what it does is it's upregulating these things instead of downregulating them, which is why it's not addictive. In fact, it's anti-addictive because of that, because it helps to replete them. It naturally gives you this sort of calm, centered, but yet lifted state of mind and state of consciousness. So it's really that sort of calm, centered focus. So you're not sedated, you're not wired up, you're just clear and calm and you're ready to go. And it's the perfect state to get into a reflective, a creative, or an empathetic state of mind, which is why it's such a good connecting tool.
If you like this information, thank you so much for supporting us in the Tru Kava movement. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Thanks, guys.